All right, I'm going to dive into finding your voice. And this was the scariest part for me. This was the thing that when Russell would say, publish, and I was like, no, right? And I was like mad about it. Absolutely not. This is the thing, though, that I was most nervous about. I was the kid that was congratulated that I was now heard in my senior year of high school, right? Find your voice. I was like, I don't hear my own, right? So, right, this is hard for me. Now, what happened was when our first ClickFunnels bill ever was 2015, July 22nd, $97. I was like, yeah. We had gotten our first round of customers to pay our bill for that first month, and we were off to the races. And Colton and I drank the Kool-Aid, man. And we were in college together. He had just sold a smartphone repair store, and while he was in college, I was doing businesses. I was like, man, you're like the only other kid in all of college in business school doing business. It's like, seems backwards. Anyway, I drank the Kool-Aid. And I started building, look at that shaved head. I started building all kinds. I'm so excited to get back to that. It looks bad when you're in the gym, all the veins pop. It's awesome. Anyway, all right. I started building these awesome value ladders and funnels for all these different companies. And I really went deep with it. And I started this is where I really started kind of getting in little quarrels with a lot of marketing professors. I went in, I spent tons of time. This is just on campus whiteboards. And I'd go and rent and block out a room and put at the top, erase and die. I think that's what the top. Yeah, no, it wasn't that one. It's a different one. Erase and die. And they left it up for like 2 days and then erased it. I was like, oh, who's dying? Anyway. And this was the funnel for me that actually was that big success story where they asked me to turn off the funnel because it worked too well. That was the one. And I took their website and I rebuilt it in ClickFunnels. There's some things I didn't understand about funnelology yet, but I went and built a funnel off of that, and it was great. I learned a ton, and then I came across this principle, and it freaked me out. Because I was like, I don't want to be the attractive character. What will I say? I don't know what to say. What if I run out of topics? What if I run out of things? I was like, I don't know. Who would follow me? Right? And it was rough. This principle in Dot-Com Secrets, who's not read Dot-Com Secrets? Okay, pretty much everyone's read it. Okay. When I read that book, though, we were at a training. I was laying on a security line with my M16 and then Dot-Com Secrets on my left hand, right? And I was in the dirt for like 10 days, and then I came back from that thing, and I realized I needed to understand this, so I should go teach it to someone else to make sure I do. So I went to a teacher, and I asked the teacher if I could come teach her and her family Dot-Com Secrets in the evening. And so I showed up. This is my first info product. And I went and for 3 freaking hours, I monologued on offers to a group of people I didn't know and I've never seen again. It's like, because, anyway, I just wanted to know that I knew it. And I recorded it, and I wasn't using good mics, and I told no stories, so it was straight strategy for 3 straight hours. And it's so, oh my gosh. But turned out I knew it, and showed me really how to not teach. But this thing though, right here from that book, was one of the things that really took my head and just like flipped everything upside down. I was like, I don't know that I'm allowed to be an isolated, right, like introvert in order to win on the internet game. I thought that's why I wanted to go do it, so no one could see me. Anyone ever thought that? They're like, this is why I'm doing it, so I don't have to talk to anybody, right? The internet game, no one's going to see me. I'm not going to be heard at all. It's just I can do my stuff right there, do my e-com arbitrage or whatever it is, right, with no one seeing my face. But then he started posing these ideas, and I was like, oh my gosh, I have to go in. Like, I almost bowed out of the game because of this principle right here, and realized, like, this is not, this doesn't freak anyone else out. When they saw us, right? And it was very hard for me because I had such a massive childhood of huge shyness, right? We can hear you now. Oh, thanks. I'm a graduating senior, right? So this is something I really struggled with. So I really resonate with that fear. It was something I wrestled with for a long time. And basically realized, oh my gosh, I suck at talking and confidence. And what I started doing was I grabbed Russell's sales videos. This is again while I was still in college. I grabbed his sales videos and I would mute them and go into the bathroom in front of the mirror and I would mimic his movements. No joke. So he'd be on the stage, be like, "What's up, everyone? It's Russell." And I'd be like, You know, you're like, because that's how I learned how to move on stage. And that's how, no joke, that's what I did. And I muted it because I just wanted to mimic what he was doing. So I was like, I suck at this, how can I learn it, right? And that's what happened. So it was actually in the apartment right there. It's my little girl when she's super small, right to my right there. That was the bathroom where I did that. And at the same time, that's when we started building all these funnels. That picture on the right is one of the most testosterone-filled pictures I've ever seen in my entire life. That's Colton under his truck, fixing it. I'm sitting there building the funnel and ClickFunnels, and the other dude's cutting up an elk. I was like, You can smell the musk. But that's what was going on at the time. I was learning how to talk. I was standing in front of mirrors, just like learn how to move, because I was like, I can conceptually understand how this funnel game works. I don't want to be a character though, right? I got to learn how to do this. And that's what was going on. It was a huge fear of mine. So when I got hired by Russell, I was mute for like 2 months because I was like, anyone's ever see The Sandlot? Don't be a doofus. Don't be a doofus. I didn't say anything for like 2 months. So I was like, he's going to find out I'm a fraud. I'm going to get fired. Right? That's what my fear was. I had huge imposter syndrome. And when I went in and I started creating the 2 Comedy Club coaching program, the first one, and put that together. And we're walking out. I mean, I remember this. So the way he does stuff, I'm doing it right now, by the way, he goes and he creates content, and he's like, I'm going to test this content to see if it's awesome by throwing an event. And that's what he does. So I'm going to go throw an event. I'm going to test all the material to see if it's awesome. Oh, it stuck. Oh, it didn't. Oh, don't say it like that next time. Okay, it's Play-Doh. Okay, just like I was going through yesterday, we do it with our content, with our events. That's why OfferMind's gotten so good. I dropped all the deep crap, the stuff that wasn't good. So he was doing that, and we created the program. Let's go test it. So we invited the inner circle. Let's go do this cool event so we can test the material. So we're walking to the event. This was the actual one, I believe. Natalie Hodson's on that one right there. We're walking out. Oh, so the Poulins. Anyway, so we're walking out over there, and Russell looks over at me. It literally as we're about to open up the event door, and he goes, hey, dude, you want to introduce me on stage? And I died. I started freaking out. Right? I had gone so far as to mimic the dude on stage on mute, right? And so he takes me off to the side, and I was like, whoa, right? I started freaking out, and he saw that, closed the door, and he walked me out to another room. It was our conference room, and this is what he said to me. He said, it's impressive to me how well you model me. Truly, it's amazing. Almost no one does that, by the way. It's awesome. He says, but you have got to find your own voice, man. It's time for you to find you. And he said, what would Steven Larson, because this is when Steve was born, okay? What would Steven Larson say to introduce Russell Brunson? Not what would Russell Brunson say to introduce Russell Brunson? Because I started asking, what's the script? How do I say it? What do I do? What's the principle here? How do I follow it? And he's like, settle down, kid. How would you do it? I was like, oh, crap. I've done everything so far by modeling, right? And that was a hard moment for me. But that was, in my opinion, that's when Steve Larson was born. Because I stood on that stage, and I was like, well, what story would I tell about him? And I did, and it went great. And it kind of started from there, and I was like, that gave me a lot of confidence in that moment. Okay? Anyone resonate with that? Yeah. Does that help? Because most people will look at what I've done, and they're like, oh my gosh, you were born with this. No, exact opposite, okay? No, it's because I didn't have it that I know how to do it, okay? Eventually, everything you suck at will become a superpower because of the internet. Okay, you like that? Little mic drop there, little gold. He started saying other little axioms to me though. How would Steve say this? Not Russell. And he'd put me in camera more, and he's like, "You're smart, man. Like, you got to figure out how to say stuff, right?" And then he'd say, "I can't teach you your voice. I can't teach you your voice." He'd say that to me all the time. He's like, "There's things I can teach you. There's things I can't. I cannot teach your voice. You have to find it." Okay, super powerful. Your voice is something you have to find on your own. And that's when I realized that there are things in this game and in life in general that we can design, we can upfront plan for, but there's a lot of stuff also that we need to discover. Okay? Your core offer, after a while, you got to discover it. Your voice, after a while, there's some things I can teach you right here, but really, you got to discover it. And there's nothing else you can do about it but just practice. How many of you guys have heard the first 30 episodes of Sales Funnel Radio? Yeah, sorry about that. They suck, right? right? Exactly. It's like, well, I'm willing to suck. Don't have no following anyway, so no one's going to hear it. Let's go, right? So basically, this is why most adults have a hard time with content producing and becoming an attractive character. We start when they go, give me all the answers. What's really happening is, think about this. We grow up, our whole life, we have the train tracks built for us. My little 1-year-old, we feed her, we change her, we do all this stuff for her. We tell them to go to bed, we tell her to wake up, this is what you eat, or you're going to go hungry. It's like, you know what I mean? It's like all the train tracks, infant, kid, everything, go to school, follow the model, all that stuff. Then eventually when you become an adult, it's like the tracks end. And suddenly life looks at you and says, what do you want to do? And you're like, oh crap, I've never practiced building tracks before. And then when you become an entrepreneur, there's even less tracks, right? And it gets, you're like, oh man, I got to go figure this stuff out. That's usually the reason why. One funnel away, when we get to the publishing lesson, this is always what people freak out about. So when they say, oh, give me all the answers, I know that what they're really telling me is, I've never practiced trusting myself, Stephen. That's really what's usually going on, okay? They say things like, I don't have any good ideas. What will I say? People ask that every one funnel away. Steve, I've never become the attractive character before. Like, well, yeah, you know. The one I want to focus on here, though, anyone resonate with these, by the way? Because I did hard, very hard. It's like, oh my gosh, I got to go. I go to therapy every Monday morning at 10 a.m. I told you that yesterday. Confidence is one of the things we talk about. I still struggle with that. Okay, if there's a reason I have my mental prep pump-up session every time, it's the same thing I do before stage every time. I'm telling you this because most people quote now Russell and Steve when they post, like tag and tag. And I'm like, oh, wow, crap. Do you know that I was really bad at this like 4 years ago? Right? It doesn't take that long if you just lean into the suck a little bit and be willing to grow, right? I'm just saying. So I'm going to focus on the one that says I have no good ideas. But because frankly, I've never trusted myself before. That comes with practice. And also, I've never become the attractive character. Well, you're actually in the best place right now to become one. Right now. So I'm going to go through with the I have no good ideas thing real fast. This is one of the, I gotta be careful how I say this. This is one of the things I really like from this guy. This is political, diplomatic as possible. Okay. He said, document and sell, don't create. Great advice. Great advice. So if you're like, Stephen, I don't know what to say, it really is about documenting the journey. Okay, just document the journey. That's the easiest way to get started. That's how I started Sales Funnel Radio. I think, I'll walk through this in a moment here, so I'll keep going. But I was like, man, I don't know what to say at all. So I started documenting the journey. In the first 20 episodes, I just sucked. I was bad. You can tell I'm reading, because I was. I wrote the Epiphany Bridge script. Russell and I had been riffing on that script because he was writing Expert Secrets. So we were going back and forth on that script, this before that, no, let's toss this in. It's really, this is what's happening inside story. And we were going back and forth on the Epiphany Bridge script itself. And so I took that script, and I went, and every episode, I would take, it's 8 headlines, right? 8 prompts, basically, that pulls it out of you, the story out of you. So I would write them all down, answer them, and then delete the question, and that was my episode. And you can tell I'm reading. That's how I made all the episodes. Okay, so the first little bit, and that's how it happened. Shortly after 20, that's when I started just writing kind of bullet points and ideas. And I was like, oh, I can still kind of, it's not that I didn't know it. It's good content. My delivery sucked. It was so bad. It was so terrible. And you guys can hear it in those first few. Around episode 30, that's really when I started, I think, finding my voice and gaining confidence in the sound of my own voice. How many of you guys don't like the sound of your own voice? Totally get it. Do not listen to your episodes after a while. Just publish them and put them out there. Anyway, I was probably on episode like 70, and that morning I had gone early into ClickFunnels, and I was creating more episodes. I was listening to episodes. In fact, actually, I don't think I went in early that morning. But anyways, I was listening to my first few episodes, and I was like, oh my gosh, who's listening to this crap, right? So it doesn't sound that amazing. Like what I'm saying is awesome, but I'm terrible at it. Oh my gosh, at delivering it's terrible. And I was listening to Pat Flynn, and Pat Flynn was like, go back and delete all of your non-high performing content. I was like, okay, that seems like it makes sense. It only focuses on the performing content. So I walked on into ClickFunnels, and we were in the new office. So Russell was right to the right there, and I was walking to my desk, facing him. And as I go to sit down, I was like, dude, have you ever listened to your first few episodes? And he looks right up and he goes, dude, don't do that. It's terrible. Terrible. I don't do it. It's awful. I did it once. I haven't come back, right? And I said, yeah, I think I'm going to delete like the first 30 episodes. And Russell is not a confrontational guy, but he was like, no! I was like, he goes, that's how they knew you were human once. Big lesson. Yeah. I was like, oh, wait a second. That's actually very, very powerful. He said, I always leave it up. All the sucky stuff, because people are going to look back and go, man, he did suck. Man, how did he actually go and do that? He must actually know what he's talking about now. Okay, this is a big deal to understand. You're in a great place if you feel like not confident, if you don't know what you're going to say, if you feel like you're not worthy or qualified, or I haven't achieved enough yet to start publishing. I know a lot of people have that one. Okay, I haven't achieved, there's nothing I can say I've done yet in my intro. I've done these great things. Like, if Russell had started at publishing yesterday, almost none of us would believe him because we haven't heard the journey. Because I've documented the whole journey and it's in a show that will never leave this earth. You celebrate my successes with me. That's so big. Your audience wants to do that with you. They want to connect with you. You will be untouchable if you wait to start publishing. They won't know how to relate with you. Right? A lot of you have walked up and said, Steve, you're so relatable. I appreciate that. That's awesome. If I hadn't started, I don't put the wall up. I don't say, oh, let me wait till I'm at a certain status. People don't want that. One of the fastest ways to lose your following ever is to just start drinking your own Kool-Aid. So the moment you start reading your own press, believe in all the great stuff that's out there, what happens is, I learned this from him as well around this time. What happens is, I would come to you and I would say, can you remind me how cool I am? Remind me? Okay, thanks. Appreciate that. And what happens is that you will start to distance from the audience and it causes a gap. They're trying to be like you. There can't be a gap. You are the leader. You're the guru on the mountain. They're trying to follow your footsteps and come with you. They want to ascend with you and they want you to take them with you. Right? And so the moment you start doing it, that's why the vulnerability piece is so big. And that's one of the reasons why publishing when you don't feel like you're worthy and saying that on an episode, massive power. Super power. Okay? Huge. You guys getting this? This is like the deep, dark inner secrets. That's one of the reasons why the Gary Vee stuff drives me nuts so much, because he's always he's untouchable, and he doesn't want to be touched, and he wants to be reminded that he's untouchable. And I'm like, oh, dude, it's hard to relate with you, right? Very different mentalities around it. I'm not saying, again, that one is right or one is wrong. They're both right. But it depends what you want. And if you want to be kind of like that, that's fine. Just understand entrepreneurship is already lonely, man. All right? You're going to go into deeper isolation if you choose to do it that way. Episode 80, I started gaining confidence in myself. It was about 120. I don't know what happened, but there was some switch. I was always afraid to share opinions on the show, so the first 100 episodes you'll hear, I don't really share any opinions. It's just general principles, super diplomatic, about 120, that's really when, haters will always find you. Whatever. Just pat them on the head and say, sorry, you small-minded little child, and walk away, just whatever. Because it's going to happen. It keeps happening to me. It's I can't believe the amount of hate mail that I get, and it's consistent. And it is. Some of it I invite, all right? But it's true, though, and if you start putting your voice out there, you, by definition, cannot have lovers without haters, right? So you're going to have them. So I got tired of them around 120, and that's when I started getting more of the fire, and whoa, boom, right? And I started yelling more in the mic. They're like, stop yelling in the mic. What? And I'd be like, what's wrong with you? Just stop following me. And I would tell them that in the show. Anyone ever heard me say that in the show? You are allowed to stop following me. There are other people that you can go follow if you don't like what I'm saying. And it's so funny when I started doing that. It's maybe I lost a few people, but the rest of them were like, yeah, I love this dude, right? You know what I mean? Anyone ever felt that on my shows? Because I kind of get a little twitch in the eye and I'm like, spitting the fire. It happened around 120. That's really when that started happening, okay? You have to have polarity, and there is natural polarity from publishing because you're going to share your opinions, which means there's only going to be very other negative opinions. With the first time I launched the episode called Why the Capitalist Pig, Why I Call Myself the Capitalist Pig, there was somebody reached back out and just started slaying me. I mean, I can't, not one person, it was a lot of people. I was like, here it goes. I know what's going to happen. Done this enough now. Here we go. Doop. Don't show me support tickets, right? Don't show me support tickets. And created that barrier. That's actually why we do that as well. have someone else take care of it. Russell can't look at support; it murders him. Okay, and kills the momentum of being an entrepreneur, right? And so that's why I have Colton take care of it and give me the highlights. What are people struggling with? Cool, let's go make changes to that. What are they? Okay, but I can't look at it. Otherwise, it takes me from the vision where I'm going. So I launched this episode, and all these people started reaching back out saying, "You're the one that's murdering the planet. You're the one, like, I hope you and your family burn in hell. I hope that." I was like, holy smokes. So I'd reach back out and say, thanks, see you there, You don't have to be polite all the time, all right? You know what I mean? Like, it was around that episode for me, this big change started happening, and I started realizing that that's what I believe, that's what I believe, and you can't apologize for it, And people want to know that, and your followers want to know that stuff from you as well. When someone gets fiery with me, I'm like, I'm not going to be rude. My resting state is nice guy until I get probed, and I will go ballistic, right? And that part comes from the Army, and that's okay. And so when people start coming at you or whatever, it's okay to reach back out. You don't always have to be briefcase, suit, always political individual. Your audience will actually appreciate that because they want to know what you stand for, because they want to stand with you. That's big. They want to stand with you. So that's why we went louder with this Capitalist Pig thing. Around episode 140, this is what I learned what I don't want to do. And then it was about 240 that I learned what I want to do. And I'm bringing this up because I'm just documenting the journey. So I started going through and realizing, like, there are things that I'm doing I'm really enjoying, and they're great, and they're adding lots of value. And there's other things that are adding value. I just don't like doing it, which is enough reason for me to not. And it was around 240. I was like, that's great, 240 episodes. It's not like my episodes are short. That's a long time, right? And so documenting the journey throughout, like you bring the audience with you. And when you say, oh, yeah, I think I want to be the offer guy, people are like, oh, you should do that. That would fit you. I'm like, oh, yeah. Oh, thanks, appreciate that. If I started out like that, they'd be like, offer guy. Why would you be the offer guy? So the first 120 episodes is pretty much a solo content machine. It was pretty much just me running it. I did have help from my sister, actually, for a little while. I know some of you guys know Marie, my sister. Yeah, anyone? A couple of you? Okay, cool. She did a lot of stuff. I hired her to, she didn't know anything about this world. I was like, hey, I need help publishing. So I just paid her like $50 an episode to do some of the things I'm going to teach you in a moment. And then about 120-ish, I was like, I got more opinions. I'm feeling confident in this. It's time to turn this into a real legit, just massive fire powerhouse machine. That's when it got turned into a huge machine from moving there forward. So when people say, I don't have any good ideas, understand you usually find them on the path. You will never, right, you can't steer a parked car, right? So you'll steer the car while you're moving. And understand also that you are different than your business. Your business competes on strengths. That's our logo for Pursuit of Profit, by the way. It's an S Corp that all my LLCs are under. My business competes on strengths in the marketplace, right? But really, my competition is on how unique and authentic I really can be to myself, loudly. The key is to be you, louder on the internet. And there's no other place you can do that. Right? Like when I work for somebody else, I have to be their perception of what success is. Right? The internet is the only spot I get to be me as loud as I want to be, and I actually get rewarded for it. So you have to be you louder. And that's one of the greatest, that's been life-changing. Don't try to sound like someone else. Oh, be you louder. It's validation that I'm on the right path when I don't start saying this stuff. Okay, anyway. Best time to publish, again, is now. Start before, like you're going to go hit some dips. Publish the dips. Don't be a highlight reel. It's not like social media. This content publishing is not like posting something on Facebook. You might put your content on Facebook, but usually social media is a highlight reel of everyone's greatest things going on in life. Be open. What happens when someone now has had me in their ears for like 200 hours? They go with the ups and the downs, and I'm like, oh, man. Anyone see the episode I just did called The Day After the $1 Million Day? This is an intense episode, right? That's really what's been going on the last 4 months, right? But it's a cool episode for me to go in and share the journey. Here's really what's been happening, and this is how I've been trying to solve it. And let me make an episode about that. Oh, baby. People love that one. That was a good one. If you haven't heard it, massive hook right there. Anyway, so those big takeaways. Become an attractive character has everything to do with personal growth, and there is room for it. It's welcomed room. People want, and they want to see that. They want to know that you're not Superman untouchable. The only problem with Superman, he's got like one weakness. That's the reason why I don't like Superman, right? One weakness, a weird alien rock. You can do everything else. You can zap you with eyeballs, shoot him, can't do anything, right? People, the only reason Superman is an attractive character is because kryptonite exists, right? It would be a boring movie if he was completely invincible. Like, oh, let me guess, you smashed that thing too. You can't be smashed yourself, right? That's the reason why. We want to see it. Batman, I love Batman because he's got a lot of mental junk going down, right? And they're raw about it in that comic. And you notice the stories that we like to follow the most, they are not perfect. We want to see the ups and the downs. We really need to see the downs. We have to know. Remember Myron Golden talking about the eagle? Remember the eagle has to drop in order for it to go high? But that's how they fly. They have to drop in order to go up. Okay, exact same principle. Right? And when the eagles go and they teach their babies how to fly, they just take them straight up and drop them, let them go, and they float down trying to learn how to fly, and then they swoop down, pick them up before they hit the ground. All right, same thing. You have to be willing to publish and share those downs. You're like, hey, this is what's going on. Now, there's a major difference between publishing a wound and publishing a scar. Okay? I never publish wounds, ever. There's a lot more to my story you guys don't know. And I'll never share it, ever. And that's okay. But there are certain things that are scars I'm totally fine sharing, to share the lesson and share a principle that might help somebody on their journey so they don't have to go through things I might have, right? So anyways, we'll talk about that in a moment. You find your voice on the way, but only if you're an active participant in it, trying to find your voice. And then you compete on uniqueness, right? Like on offers a lot of times, like we were talking about yesterday, or products. Like how many different types of socks are there on Amazon? A ton, and they're all competing on very similar things. This is not like that at all. You compete on your uniqueness when you're becoming an attractive character. Okay. Any questions on this? Helpful? Yeah, what's up, Ben?
Find your voice, but only if you're an active participant? What do you mean active participant?
Meaning you will not find your voice before you start moving.
Got it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Which means the first few episodes they probably won't be awesome. Hey, how's it going? Good to see you.
Hey, question. You said you didn't find your voice or you didn't know what you were doing until like episode 240.
Yeah.
My question to you is, where were you from a revenue standpoint at 240?
From a revenue standpoint at 240, probably 2 million. That's the point. Get it? You don't have to wait to make money. You can make the money and sell and have value and all that stuff and not totally know. Russell didn't know what he wanted to do till 13 years in. Right? I was at an Inner Circle meeting, and we were hanging out. It was actually an Inner Circle dinner, and Myron Golden was to my right, and Russell was a little bit to my left, kind of more in front of me. And I walked up, and I thought I didn't show it. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, if you can't tell. And so I was walking up, and I didn't feel like I was sharing anything, like on my sleeve or whatever. And he looks and goes, "What's going on?" And I was like, we were all having dinner together, so we're all walking around grabbing food and stuff. He goes, "What's going on?" I said, well, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up. Like, what's my purpose? And he started laughing, like hysterical gut laugh, like, like really deep gut laugh, and I like kind of hurt my feelings, right? And he starts going and laughing, and he's like holding his food, trying not to drop it, and Myron's next to him, and he goes, "What? Wait, what did he just ask?" And he looks up at him, and this is what he says. He asked the purpose question, and Myron's like, "Ha ha ha, ha ha ha," and I'm sitting there with the beef, like, what's wrong? This is a real thing going on for me. I know everyone asks this question, like, what's my purpose? I don't know what guy I'm supposed to be. I had not been the offer guy yet. This is when I was discovering that, though. And I was on that journey right there, and I was probably around episode 220, 240-ish, around $2 million in revenue. And Russell, he finally catches his breath, and I was like, dude, I'm going to beat you up, right? And I keep telling him I'm going to learn jiu-jitsu and choke him out. That's my goal this year. Anyway, but he leads up and he goes, "Dude, you know you're not going to find that for a while?" He's like, I just found out at year 13 that I wanted to be the funnel guy. And Myron is like, yeah, man. I don't know how old he is. I think he's like late 50s, and he's like, I found out that what I wanted to do 3 months ago. And I was like, oh. He's like, you know the answer to this, man. The answer is to go provide value, and you'll find it. I said, so should I be searching for it, or will it find me? And he said, it's probably a combo of the two. Stop worrying about it so much. Go solve problems for people. Go help people, and it'll find you along the way. And I was like, oh. And then a few weeks later, he sent me a Vox, and he goes, by the way, if you don't become the offer guy, someone else is going to, and we're not going to like him. Okay? Plant the flag in the offer thing. Okay? He's like, you geek out on offers harder than anything else. And then Dana Derrick sent a Vox saying the same thing. Oh, yeah, by the way, I was talking to Russell. He says you don't know who you should be. Dude, you're the offer guy, man. Everyone knows that about you. And I was like, well, I don't know. Do I have enough material on offers? Right? That was my fear. And I was like, fine. Okay, maybe I'll go be the offer guy. He's like, good. I was going to pay you to do it. Anyway, so understand, like, that's how it works for everybody. And the biggest fear people have with this, with finding their voice, with publishing, with I'm not worthy, with what's the title of my show? Is it all perfect? Is it all correct? Is the formula in a line? Like, it doesn't work that way. Okay? Make sense? We good? Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wounds and scars. You mentioned you're not going to talk about the wounds.
Yeah.
Give examples of what you meant by wounds then.
Wounds versus scars. Wounds are things that you're currently possibly going through right now that you have not healed from physically or emotionally, and you're not in a place to use your story as a lesson. Yeah. Yeah.
Stephen, it sounds like you have about 4 new shows that are coming. Are you
is a
about to
fifth.
find? Yeah. I just came up from Atlanta. I listened to you for 4 hours straight, right? But are you going to be finding your voice in each of those sub niches?
Probably not. But at the same time, you're always developing the voice. So probably, yeah. Let me grab a few more here, and then we'll keep going because I want to show you guys how the show fits in my actual marketing plan itself. Hey.
So, there's different forms of publishing, podcasting, Facebook
Yeah.
Lives, Instagram Live.
Yeah.
And it seems like the Facebook, Instagram is like there, but then it gets buried in feeds. Is there a strategy that you use between podcasting and Facebook to utilize them in ways that help push people to different places?
There is. We'll actually get into that in a moment here. Absolutely. Yeah.
So yesterday we talked about the core offer.
Yeah.
We think about that we have to start with the core offer.
Yeah.
But right now we say that we have to start with publishing now. So which one should go first? We should publish it right now, or we should find our core offer first?
I think you find the core offer the easiest when you're publishing. Because you're testing it off of people. I did 50 episodes of Secret MLM Max Radio before I had a webinar. Because I was testing material. I wanted to see what story stuck with people. And then it was really easy for me to create the webinar. And I didn't touch it for a year and 9 months. And it did $920,000 without me doing anything else. It's only because I had tested the material like crazy on a podcast to see what caused stories that I thought were awesome. They turned out they really didn't do that great. That happens a lot on Sales Funnel Radio. People are like, oh, I love that last episode. And I went back and looked to see which one it was. I was like, oh, I'm glad that you loved it so much. And I would get like a lot of noise. That one was so good, straight fire. Rah. Like people always put the fire emoji, fire, 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 fire. And I'm like, whoa, sweet. That helps me know that was a great one. But a lot of times what happens is it's the one that I never expect to be awesome. I'm like, I love this one over here, and I geeked out hard, and I spent 2 hours preparing the material. It's like crickets. No one says anything. And I'm like, oh, all right, there's the classic markets guiding you right there. All right. So then I go and grab the other story and use that one in messaging. Yeah, we'll go for the last one here.
Steve, how often were you publishing twice a week, once a week?
We'll actually get into that right now. The show mechanics itself. Absolutely. Awesome. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
I love that part of it. It's my favorite part of the entrepreneurial world, and I feel like that's the place where you really are practicing and flexing those muscles.